Hello, it's Tracy here. Welcome to the Alleyway Stamps Technique blog hop. I'm going to be doing the emboss-resist technique. So I'm going to be starting with the Star of the Show stamp set and a piece of white cardstock. I'm just going to be using this large starry background, and I'm going to be stamping this with Versamark ink and then using this white Hero Arts embossing powder. Before I stamp it though, I'm going to be using my powder tool just to apply onto my cardstock so that none of the embossing powder sticks where I don't want it to stick. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink up the entire stamp, and then I'm going to start at the top and then work my way down. So I'll stamp it, and this stamp fits perfectly onto an A2 size card front. And then I'm just going to ink it up one more time and then stamp it right below where I already stamped it. And there will be a little gap at the bottom, but it doesn't matter for this card because I'm actually going to cut it off in the end anyway. Alright, so I'm just going to quick clean off my stamp, and then I just take a piece of regular computer paper folded in half that I sprinkle my embossing powder over, and that way it's just easier to funnel it back in so you don't waste any. So I just apply that and then tap it off really well so that you get all the excess off. And then go ahead and heat emboss the entire thing just so that it sets the embossing powder, and then we will be ready to ink it. Alright, so while I'm doing that, the word egg bubble is going to appear right now, so you can go ahead and finish that, and then I will put all the directions just in case you miss them on my blog and down below. Alright, so I'm going to start inking, and I'm starting with the broken china, and this is just going to be at the top of my cardstock. I'm going to work my way in from the edges, and then I take my next color, which is the Salty Ocean, and I'm just going to apply that right below the the broken china. So I just work my way in from the edges, and this just helps so that there aren't any streaks or lines that stand out. My next color is the Faded Jeans, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then my last color is the Black Soot. And then when I finish that, I'll show you how to blend all the colors better together. So how I do that is I go backwards then. So then I blend together the Black Soot and the Faded Jeans a little bit by adding just a little bit of the Faded Jeans on top of my black. So then I'll just go in with my Salty Ocean and do the exact same thing. And then take my last color, which is the Broken China, one more time just to blend those colors together. Alright, and then the last step for the background is to take a baby wipe and just wipe over the embossed stars. This just helps if there's any ink that's still sitting on top of them. It just makes them nice and bright and white. And you want to make sure that your baby wipe or paper towel or whatever you use isn't too wet, because it's going to move the ink on the background, because the distress inks do react with water. So you just want it slightly damp. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to do my die cutting that I'm going to need for the card. I'm starting with the Memory Box Cityscape Nightline die, and I'm going to cut that out of a piece of black Coordinations cardstock. Now this die has a lot of windows in it. If you have trouble with those not wanting to come out after die cutting it, you might want to try to add a shim or use some heavier cardstock. I didn't have any problems with this using the Coordinations cardstock. All of them came out. As you can see, they're all sitting there, and none of them stuck into my die cut piece. And then I'm just going to do one more die cut. I'm going to use the Speech Bubble from Simon Says Stamp in Memory Box. I'm going to use the one that looks like a puffy cloud. And I'm just going to cut that out of a piece of white cardstock. Alright, so I can put my Cuttlebug away because that's all the die cutting I'm going to be doing on this card. So next I'm going to do my stamping. I'm going to use the Got It Covered set from Alleyway Stamps, and I'm going to stamp that little car onto a piece of Coordinations 110-pound cardstock. This is perfect cardstock for Copic coloring, which we will do in just a minute. Before I do my coloring, I'm going to stamp the sentiment onto my speech bubble, and it says "Enjoy the ride." And it fits perfectly right onto the little speech bubble there. Alright, so then moving on to my Copic coloring, I'm going to start with the C1 marker. It's just a cool gray, and I'm going to color in my entire car with that color. And then I'll take the C3, which is the next darkest color, and I'm just going to apply some little highlights in places that I want definition on my car. And then I'll go back with my C1 and just blend those two colors together. Alright, so next for the tires, I'm going to be using a T8 marker. It's a really dark gray. It's not quite black, but it's really dark and perfect for the tires. And then I'm going to use my C3 one more time and just color in the insides of the tires. For the windows, I'm going to use a B00. It's called Frost Blue. And then my last color for the headlight is Y06. So now I'm just going to go ahead and fussy cut the entire car out right to the black line. And when I do that, I like to take my Tuxedo Black Memento marker and just go along the outside edge, the cut part, so then you don't see any of the white cardstock that shows through. It just helps it make the car look a little bit more finished. So now I'll just go ahead and assemble the rest of my card. So I'm going to take my embossed piece, and I actually cut a little bit of the top and the bottom off just because it didn't fit quite the way I wanted it to on my card. So now I'm just going to take that and push it all the way up to the top. I want to have a white border at the bottom of my card. Next, I'm going to attach the cityscape part, and for that I'm just going to take some Tombow Mono Multi Glue and adhere that all along the back of the card. And then I'll go ahead and adhere that right onto the bottom of the embossed piece. There's going to be a little bit of extra on the one edge, so you can just take your scissors and cut that right off. So then my last step of the card is going to be to attach my car and my speech bubble. And I'm just going to take the 3D foam squares. These are Best Creation, and they're just little tiny ones that are perfect for these little die cuts and stamped images. So I'll just take that car and adhere that down, and then I'm going to do the same thing for my speech bubble die. I'm just going to apply some of the foam squares onto that. And then I can go ahead and attach that right above my car. And then that is my finished card. Thank you so much for joining us on this blog hop, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!